Welcome to the Sports Lounge, the Chamberlain edition, number 100. I'm Travis Kriens. David Schottenkirk, Applesauce himself is here. Mr. Stacken. How is the hood today, Mr. Stacken? How is everything in the hood?
You know, everything's better. Everything's good in the hood, just like Applebee's.
Good. First, we're watching the Denver Colts game here. Colts up by 8 with 12 minutes to go. I have no interest in seeing Denver, New England again, Manning and Brady again. I have no interest. If I never see them play again, that's fine by me, and maybe we won't. I'd like to see Indianapolis get in there. But first off...
Why, so they can lose by 30 again like they did last year?
Ouch.
I'd say it'd be closer. I'd say it'd be closer than that. But the big story of the day, Dallas loses at Green Bay 26-21. The call of the game of the season was a Dez Bryant completed pass overturned to a Dez Bryant incomplete pass with roughly 5 minutes left. It would have been inside the 1. Down by 5, likely would have scored a touchdown there to go up either 1, 2, 3 points. Mr. Stacken, the majority of the people disagree with this call because, to me, looks like Dez Bryant caught the ball, took 3 steps, went to the ground, extended his arm, did not reach the goal line, fumbled the ball. The ground couldn't cause a fumble. His knees were down. I think when you're down, you're down. Your thoughts on this atrocious call that may or may not have cost them the game?
It was absolutely horrendous. I really didn't have much of a rooting interest in this one because I despise both teams. But, you know, Dez Bryant, like you said, he had 3 feet on the ground, clearly had possession. Now, I know you need to maintain possession all the way through the catch. But to me, it's if you make a football move, if you get at least 2 feet on the ground. And in this case, he had 3. I mean, this all stems back to Calvin Johnson a couple years ago. This is when this rule really got more emphasis, or at least more understanding within the football world to fans and players alike. But I think it was clear that Bryant had possession. He was making a football move and just stretching out for the touchdown that he had complete possession. When McCarthy challenged it, I thought, what the hell is he challenging? He's just wasting a timeout here for Green Bay. He had already lost a challenge earlier in the timeout in the second half. I didn't think there was any way this would get overturned. And with the way Mike Pereira's been batting with officials this year, even though Pereira's right most of the time, the officials call it the opposite way. I didn't think they would agree on this. It was just a really, really bad call. And but maybe it's karma because Dallas seemed to get a lot of breaks last week against Detroit.
David, anything more?
Not much more to add. I agree that I didn't like it, and I was very vocal right after it happened that how bad it was. If you go through and do look, obviously the rule itself is horrendous, but the call that they made with the rule that's set, you go read the rule book, it was the right call, and it pains me to say that because the rule makes no sense. 3 feet, like Stacken said, the only thing from the other side is that people are claiming that Dez didn't have control of his body, and he was just kind of tumbling to the ground. Hence why when he hit the ground and lost the ball, that he didn't really ever have, he wasn't making a football move because he wasn't in control of his own body. He was just kind of out there stumbling around. He wasn't making a football move. He was trying to get advanced 5 yards. And the lunge into the end zone was more, from their opinion, was more just him stumbling and falling down than him actually making a move himself, trying to get to the end zone. So I can see that a little bit. I agree with Stacken. I didn't like it personally, but with the rule the way it is, it was the right call. And like you said, it might or might not have cost Dallas a game because the way Green Bay was moving the ball in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, Rodgers could have maybe taken them down the field and scored anyways to win the game. But something that's to be talked about and hopefully leads to a rule change or a rule, a difference in the wording anyways to make it a little bit more clear this offseason what exactly is a catch and what isn't.
Maybe if Dez doesn't try and extend his arm there, we aren't talking about this here, but at the same, if he just goes in and cradles it and goes down at the 1 and doesn't fight to reach the end zone, he doesn't lose possession of the ball, and the Cowboys likely go in and score. And we don't know what the end result would have been, but To me, and I agree. We understand the rule now. I just don't think that it really applied to the play. But it's an interpretation for different interpretation for everyone, how they saw either Dez was in control or not.
Right.
It's very easy for me, when a guy's down, he's down, and that's the end of the play. If your knee is down, that is it. It shouldn't be any different with this situation than it is with the running back, with the receiver, anything. There is no difference here. There should not be two separate set of rules for this, because I would say most people would think that this rule doesn't even apply, because he didn't make the catch and go to the ground. He made the catch, took a couple steps, then dove to the end zone, and then went to the ground. If a player is going to the ground in the process of making the catch, he must maintain control through the entire process of contacting the ground. When does that contacting the ground end? When does that end? When he gets up? When he stops moving? I'm not clear on that. When does that process stop? How long do you have to be in contact with the ground? How long do you have to have the ball until they can say, okay, the play is done, you've held it long enough?
You have to either be down and stop, your body stop, or be down, touchdown, and be on a process of standing back up for that process to officially end. You'll see, just random, say Jordy Nelson catches a touchdown, he's diving, and he slides to stop and then stands back up. Technically, he has to maintain that control until he's getting himself back up, and then they can officially put their hands in the air and say, hey, touchdown, ball's not moving, whatever. Again, the thing with Dez, yes, 3 feet down, but you look at it, and I've watched the replay probably 100 times, because I do want to understand this rule, because it's very important. Obviously, it came in a crucial time today. 3 feet down, I've been seeing it both ways, even though originally I was steadfast that it was a horseshit call. But if you look at it, he's really not in control of his body until he hits, and when he hits, that's when the ball pops loose. So
but he's got possession of the ball. We know that.
Right.
Okay.
But he has to maintain that possession all the way through, and in that case, he didn't. So like I said, I can see it both ways. I'm still not in favor. I still wouldn't be in favor of calling that a catch, because I believe he caught the ball. But again, with the rule the way it is, and after reading it, seeking some sort of clarification, I mean, they got, for the shitty as the rule is, they got the call right.
If he would have broken the plane of the end zone, if that ball would have been 3 inches farther up, would that have been a touchdown, or would it have been the exact same call?
If he was there and broke the plane with the ball in his hands before it hit the ground, it's a touchdown, 100%.
I mean, so many different set of rules for something that doesn't need it, and kind of a slow start to the game, but it was a pretty good game, and this really takes away from it, because once that play happens with 5 minutes left, I mean, Sacken said you don't know what the outcome would have been, and after that, I mean, the game really loses any and all meaning because of a fuck up that bad. You're like, whatever happens after this is basically a waste. And do you agree with that, Mr. Sacken?
I do. I think it takes away from Green Bay's win a little bit. I don't think they deserve to beat Seattle next week. If that's the case, I think they deserve to lose, because this does take away from their win a little bit. But again, as you said, and I think as I had said earlier, we don't know, just because if Dallas had scored there, that Green Bay wouldn't have driven down the field, either kicked a game-tying, game-winning field goal, or scored a touchdown themselves to win the game. But we would have seen the game play out rather than the refs putting it in their own hands.
You said on the Stacking program on Tuesday nights, Mr. Hildebrand.
I thought we started at 6:30. I lost the message.
We cheat. Stacking said on the radio show, we started about 10 minutes ago. Stacking said on the radio show that he thinks this may what people may stop watching or may stop caring about it. What was your point there? Because that last week was last week, and now here's another week, a worse call yet. So does that even strengthen your argument more?
Eventually, but again, it depends on the teams in there. Green Bay, of course, has a large following, so people are still going to watch the Packers. and stuff. But I do think that at some point, folks are going to get so fed up with the nonsense, the questionable calls that referees make, the rules that don't make a lot of sense. In some ways, it'll be like soccer in a way. Some of these rules, or cricket, whatever. The rules just don't make sense. It's tough to watch. Let's find out the result. But that's like a couple years possibly down the road. I don't think it's going to have any immediate impact this year, probably not next year. But at some point, if these game-changing calls continue to happen and it seems obvious to the fans watching, I think there will be some people that get fed up and decide to tune out the NFL.
Here's my thing with that, though. Obviously, these calls in the crunch time of the games today and a little different. Absolutely crucial call, 4th down. Dallas had the ball at the 1 or the Green Bay ball there. That similar calls happen in the first, second, and third quarters that are just as bad, just as good. And part of my problem is the absolute focus on the last bad call to be made in the game. Go back and look, because today, I'm a huge fan of Gene Steratore. I always have been. Marcus is a huge fan of him. He does great work. His crew today was fucking awful, and it was not just that call. Throughout the day, some of the holding calls, some of the defensive pass interference, it was just brutal. But what I was getting at was that the focus on these last ones. Go back and look, because there was 10, 12 other calls that not as bad, but they were just as important to that actual outcome too. That's my thing, anyways. But
yeah, I think I agree with you, Schottenkirk, because the overall officiating has been really bad. And unfortunately, 1 or 2 bad calls overshadows the other 10 egregious or worse than what we would normally see in the regular season. But maybe this gets back to a larger issue of that these crews are not working together during the regular season. They're all graded separately, and then based on how they graded out over the regular season, they get to go together in the playoffs. So if you aren't with your same team, I mean, that would be like Peyton Manning, or who's a really good quarterback that didn't make it this year? Phillip Rivers. Let's say Phillip Rivers came in and took over for the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, and has that supporting cast to work with. It's a completely different team than that's playing that game. And for the referee, the lineman, the side judge, the back judge, for them all not to have worked together throughout the entire season, I think that's why you're seeing some of these really, really bad calls during the playoffs.
Charlie, most seem to think that the call was right if you go by the rule book, which I question. But your thoughts on this goddamn play here?
Personally, I guess I'll probably be in the minority. I don't know if I love the rule or not. I don't have a problem with the call in regards to the rule, though. Now, if someone wants to get adamant, I don't have strong feelings. Honestly, I don't really care either way. I mean, neither of these, I don't hate I don't love either of these two teams. I think it was iffy on whether it could have gone either way, but I don't have strong. I think the Calvin Johnson one from like 3 or 4 years ago, I think was worse than this one. I don't think this one's nearly as bad. Certainly this was in a bigger moment and it was a more important game, but I think that one was worse.
I'm going to have to look back at the Calvin Johnson one because
it's bad. It's bad.
Just from recalling what I remember of it, I think the Dez Bryant one was worse. But
no. I mean, he had the ball Calvin Johnson probably
seconds.
Yeah, he probably had the ball for a good
he was on the ground and he was rolling over, and then it was as he was standing up. He put the ball on the ground to help himself stand up.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll look back at that. Yeah, they're both bad calls overall.
And here's what I got. Final thoughts on this. For me, it's David pretty much explained it. You have to basically be stopped. But for me, when does the process end? Because I still like your knee is down, that's the end of the play. If you're considered down, your elbow, your knee, whatever has to be down, that's the end of it. It should not be different. Because if this is a running back, this is no different. If a running back goes and, if but it's a receiver rule. It's about a catch and not a run, but it's too many different interpretations for the same goddamn thing.
Here's the thing, though, quickly. Was he touched in the process of going down?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure of that?
Yes, I got it here.
Okay, because I watched the replay, and I still can't tell if he got touched or not. I think he did. And in that case,
at the very least, he touches. He touches. Right. I mean, yeah,
If he gets touched at all, yes. If he runs into it as he's in the process, that makes the call that much worse because he's down by contact. Then when his knee hits and he doesn't have, and then the ground would cause this quote unquote fumble that was. And if he's touched at all when he's going on the ground and his knee touches him and him still possession before the ball moves at all, the play's dead right there, and that's what it should have been then if he was touched. I haven't been able to prove that yet.
There's contact in the air, and I would say by the time one of his feet's down, it's very close to contact.
Right.
So I would say, bullet to my head, I would say there is some contact there. So, Charlie, I thought it took away from the game. It was a pretty good game. Did this take away from the game?
I mean, maybe a little bit. Personally, I don't think it did because I think 2 weeks from now, only Cowboys fans are going to want to regularly remember this or talk about this. I think just the nature of the way playoffs work, either there will be something big that happens next week, whether it's a bad call or just a great play or a great game. There will be something that happens, and then we just won't. I don't think most of the United States outside of Dallas will be talking about it 7 days from now.
Anybody would like to see Dallas versus Seattle versus, or more than Green Bay versus Seattle?
I think it would be interesting to see a rematch because I think Seattle's a better team, a different team than they were when these two teams met, and Dallas doesn't seem like they're going to be nearly as healthy. But, we'll see here. We'll see if Green Bay tries to attack Richard Sherman rather than only play on half the field as they did in Week 1.
Since you mentioned Seattle, I have no thoughts on the Seattle game. Anybody else have thoughts on the game?
I was at work, so I didn't even see it. I saw it was close kind of early, and they ended up winning handily, kind of like how Seattle likes to play.
Manimal.
Who?
Cam Chancellor. Manimal.
Cam Chancellor. Yep. Richard Sherman takes one side of the field, doesn't switch, you don't put him on your best receiver. So, should they? I mean, is it a waste to put him on? I mean, you could take Sherman out of the game by putting a third or fourth receiver on his side of the field and saying, well, this guy's not going to do anything anyway, so let's put their best cornerback against our fourth best receiver, and let's go from there. Or
you could do that, but you're also taking that side of the field and making it so it's going to take a long time for anyone from the other side to get over there, and it still limits some of what you're going to do offensively. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I think you bring up an interesting point, but it's still kind of a double-edged sword.
The reason they do that is because the reason why they can do it is because
everybody else is so good.
Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas at safety are so good they can make up for it and help on the other side if they have to. I mean, obviously, the ball's going there. It makes it that much more difficult. And they have a couple of decent cornerbacks outside of Sherman, but to have Thomas and Chancellor at the back, Thomas probably still, for me and for my money, is the most underrated player in the NFL as far as his impact on this. Putting him over there, and you keep him on the one side. And in Week 1, like Stacken said, they didn't throw it over that way all that much. They went the other way, and Jordy had a decently big game. But it makes sense. It's working. I don't think I would mess with it, and I kind of like it in a sense because you pretty much know that maybe a couple throws will be going that way throughout the game, but the rest of the throws will be going to the other side, and you can have Thomas' chance to kind of cheat that way and help out in coverage.
Cam Chancellor's pretty good, and people have talked about him a lot the last 24 hours, and I'm not taking away from him and saying he's not good and saying this, but he's not even the best safety on his own team, and that's just saying how good that Thomas is. And I'm blanking on the guy from USC, but all you need to know is you could ask Schottenkirk, but Pete Carroll didn't take the one safety from USC that was 6'4" and 230 and ran a 4.3 40. He said, nope, we're going to take this guy from Texas instead. Yeah, Taylor Mays. And Thomas has been pretty good in the NFL ever since he stepped foot in Seattle.
Sure has.
A lot of people like Bobby Wagner too. Mr. Stacken, does it take away? I mean, Richard Sherman, best cornerback, second best, very good. Does it take away at all for you that he doesn't? That he's not on the number one guy all the time.
No, because you just see what he does. I remember Thanksgiving night. What did he have? 2 interceptions,
Yep.
Something like that. I mean, he was all over the field taking away players. When you're a shutdown corner like that, it doesn't matter if you're on the 1 or the 2 guy. If you can eliminate one offensive weapon, make some plays. To me, he doesn't always have to be on the number 1 guy. I would like to see him be on the number 1 guy like a Darrelle Revis. Until Sherman Island comes around, there will only be one island, and that's Revis Island. But I still think Sherman's one of the best corners in the NFL, and it doesn't really take away from me that he's not always on the top guy.
Where do you think Pro Football Focus put him this year?
5th.
7th. I don't know.
Probably still plays in the 20s.
3rd. He's 3rd.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, Patrick Peterson, number 1.
Chris
No
Harris.
way.
Chris Harris from
Patrick.
Chris
Harris, I actually don't disagree with that. He's been amazing this year. So.
Patrick Peterson, 69th.
No, that's bullshit.
Pretty low.
Vontae Davis was 2nd. Revis was 4th.
I mistakenly thought that Rob Gronkowski was automatically 69th and everything.
What about Xavier Rhodes?
It's not X, it's Xavier, not Xavier.
Xavier. Xavier Rhodes, 29th.
That's not bad.
There's 108 on this list. So he's in the top 20-25% or so. We've got this Indianapolis-Denver game. It looks like Indianapolis is going to hold on here. First down here will pretty much end it.
Super Bowl team, baby.
Colts, Denver.
Excuse me, anyways.
I'm looking forward to possibly holding out hope for my Colts to play Ahmed Seahawks. That interests me a whole hell of a lot. Any other matchup, not so much. David, you said this is it. This is his last game. We've talked about this a couple weeks ago. He did not play well today. The numbers on Manning: 21 of 40, 152, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. Not very good. He's not looked very good for the last couple of months. I assume these last couple of months, especially today, you stand by your statement that this is it.
Absolutely. Today just proved everything I've been thinking and saying the last few weeks. 21 of 40, yeah, he had the touchdown. He also had the fumble loss in the second quarter, whatever it was. It was a pretty big play. Missing throws. Some of the deep balls were absolute dead ducks. Absolutely horrendous balls that were twisting in the air early in the game. And he was overthrowing them because he was putting so much air underneath them. He was like lofting out there like punts. And he was overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders. He had Sanders 3 or 4 times. And the ball was just floating out there forever, 20 yards up in the air. It's just, he's not right. I had a massive, massive problem with the play calling today by Denver, especially in the first half. Throwing all those deep shots, it's not working. You're giving the ball back to Indy. You're making way too much. You're putting way too much on Peyton when his arm's not 100%. I would be, and he said this when he came back, or when he went up to Denver originally. Every March, just go through these tests as to if he was healthy, if his doctor said, hey, you can go play, whatever. Come March, he's going to go through this test with his neck, and he's not going to play. He's either going to shut it down here in the next couple weeks after the Super Bowl, not even do the test, or he's going to go to the test and his doctor say, hey, I don't want you to play, and he's going to listen to his doctor. I believe this is the last game we're going to see Peyton Manning ever play.
3 seasons with... Yeah, Nathan.
I was just going to say I could see that, too. I have heard that his wide receivers haven't helped him a whole lot today with several drops or some bad slips and stuff. So the footing, it hasn't been all Peyton, but this certainly he certainly hasn't played his best today.
I know we've talked about it in the past about when Brady and when Manning it'd be done, and then so that usually when the end comes, it comes quickly, and it looks like it's probably come for Manning. Now, you never know. If he wanted to, I suppose he could probably play till he was 43 and be a backup somewhere. I don't get the sense that that's something that Peyton would probably do, though.
That's the thing, though. I mean, I'm pretty well steadfast that he's done, but I could see him if the doctor says, "Hey, yeah, you're not going to have your arm strength that you had the last 15 years, but you're not going to be doing any damage by just playing." Obviously, you take a risk by going out there and getting hit and whatnot. But if the doctor tells him he can go out and play at 50% or have his arm like it has been these last few weeks, he might try to give it one more go because he desperately wants another crack at the title to make solidify himself as potentially the greatest of all time and whatnot. I'm sure that's one of the things that's been obviously that field to move to Denver in the first place was trying to win that second ring. Hasn't happened. It came off a close, but I mean, it's sad to see. There's a lot of guys that love Manning. Marcus has been in love with Manning since he was at Tennessee. And I respect the hell out of him, but for my money, yeah, he's the best regular season quarterback ever. But in playoffs, time and time again, he just has not performed for me to consider him the best of all time. He just hasn't.
Why? I mean, it's stacking. Why? Tom Brady. I mean, Brady's been there. But he's lost to a lot more teams than Brady. Why is it? I mean, a lot of times the Colts have been the better team, so it's not like he's been the underdog here. They've been the better team most of the time.
In all honesty, we've seen Peyton Manning-led teams get to 13-1, 13-2, 12-3. I mean, they've sewn everything up: the 1 seed, a bye, the division, whatnot, and then they kind of just coast into the rest of the regular season. You get that first round bye, and I think that takes a lot of the rhythm out between Manning and the offense. I can't say that that's entirely to blame because Manning certainly hasn't played great in the entire postseason, but I do think that stoppage of 2 or 3 weeks when they rest everyone in week 17. When you get that first round bye, I just think it takes out something for this offense. And I agree with Schottenkirk about the demise of Manning, how he's played very poorly or average, I guess, over the last 5-6 weeks. And that's when you really saw C.J. Anderson develop into a threat. And I think everyone thought, the Broncos have finally developed a running game to go with Peyton Manning. But really, perhaps it was Anderson that was masking the beginning of the end of Peyton Manning in terms of the true arm strength or the greatness that we saw from him throughout his entire career.
I'll even take that one step further, is that I kind of alluded to this last week too, but even last year during their run to the Super Bowl, and they obviously got crushed by Seattle, his arm strength was a massive question to me then too. You go back and watch last year's AFC title game against New England, there's 5 or 6 throws in the first half that were just absolute ducks, but the New England quarterbacks weren't in the right position. The receivers caught them for decent plays or whatever. You go back and watch that first half, and that was the first warning sign. And I was kind of on it early in the season. I've been on it real hard the last 6 weeks, is that his arm is not anything like it used to be. Now, for my money, as far as arm strength, accuracy is a different issue. He's still very accurate. It probably will be if he does this for another year or two. But as far as just pure arm strength, he's in the bottom 5 of the league for me right now.
Charlie, would you say a disappointing run here? 2-3 in the playoffs last 3 years. Obviously Denver and Manning were looking for that Super Bowl. If you're a fan of Denver, would you say you'd be disappointed in these last 3 since you didn't win it?
I think it's tough, and it kind of brings in the Peyton question as a whole for his career. I mean, he had phenomenal stats and broke every record last year. I think ultimately you'd have to say it's a bit underwhelming because they never won a Super Bowl. I think this year it kind of just looks like he got older, and I don't know if you can. I mean, you can't. I don't know if you can hold that against him to the same degree, where he's just not the same anymore. But certainly, I would say last year and this year had underwhelming finishes. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to be nice to Peyton because I always kind of like him. I don't know. It's tough to say disappointing when you won the division 3 years in a row and you made the Super Bowl once. So I guess I would say underwhelming.
I mean, I like Peyton Manning. I like Peyton Manning. He's not nearly as big of a whiny little bitch as Tom Brady is. He just seems like he's a much more likable guy. He's had a very good career. I think that this is a huge disappointment. The 3 years in Denver overall to not come away with a Super Bowl. They were my pick to win it all this year. I thought with the additions that they made on defense, I thought getting Emmanuel Sanders, I just looked at the team and said, this is Super Bowl talent that they're going to advance and ultimately beat Seattle this year. I had a rematch, and I think to lose the way they did in the Super Bowl, maybe if that game was closer, it wouldn't be considered as big a disappointment. But this certainly is not good, and now it's officially over.
24-13, the Colts win. I would go as far as to say I really like Andrew Luck. Ugly son of a bitch, talks like a stupid shit. Watch him play. That's a lot of fun. I would put him second behind Aaron Rodgers.
Not yet, but he's definitely in the top 5.
I like him better than Breeze. I like him better than Brady. I like him better than Russell Wilson. I mean, if you were to put Andrew Luck with the fucking Seahawks, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and if they play next week like they did this week against Denver, they're beating the Patriots.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Okay, like defensively. I'm sorry, not offensively. Defensively.
Yes, but even then, Baltimore played pretty much their A game. New England didn't show up till the second half, especially the fourth quarter. Defense kind of settled a little bit. Flacco's tearing apart early. It's going to have to take Indy's A game against New England's C game for that to be possible. And this is coming from a guy that picked preseason. I had Seattle over Indy in the Super Bowl. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell, if I could talk, that Indy goes in there next week and beats the Patriots.
What team has a better chance of pulling off the upset?
Green Bay, as crazy as it sounds.
I think I'd go with Green Bay, too. I know Rodgers is hurt, and I think that there's certainly the potential for Green Bay to just get slaughtered behind a gimpy Rodgers that can't do what he wants. And I think Russell Wilson's a solid quarterback, but ultimately, I mean, could we really be shocked if they found a way to protect Rodgers fairly well next week if he, on 1.5 legs, found a way to throw for 340 yards? I mean, I don't know. I'm not expecting Green Bay to win. Don't get me wrong, but I just when you're the best quarterback in the NFL, I think it's just tough for me to be like, there's no way I'm going to give them a chance to win.
Let me say, if Green Bay and Indianapolis meet in the Super Bowl, Green Bay's coming out victorious. I don't
really.
Yeah. Yep. I didn't give Indy a chance to go into Denver this week and beat them, but I don't see any way that Green Bay loses to Indianapolis if they play in the Super Bowl. Just don't.
I would like to point out real quick, too, just patting myself on the back, but a couple of weeks ago when we were watching Cincinnati play Pittsburgh in Week 17, I said that night that no matter who it was, if it was Baltimore, if it was Cincy, if it was Indy, whoever went to Denver was going to beat them, and guess what? They beat them. So
they did.
I'll take a plus one for myself there.
There you go.
Plus
Kudos for that. And since we're patting ourselves on the back, I picked New England and Green Bay to play in the Super Bowl before the season started, along with Oregon winning the national title.
Boom.
It's a good year.
Plus 1,500.
Now, granted, I can still be wrong on all of those, so we'll see. They can still all come up short.
Andrew Luck has a beard. When's the last time a bearded guy won the whole damn thing?
That's a good question.
Has a bearded gentleman ever won it?
I feel like Brady at times when it was cold in Boston had a beard.
I'm talking a man's beard, not a Stacken's beard. I'm talking a fucking man's beard, a Sean Kirk beard, not Stacken's beard, my beard, Charlie's beard, not Traxler, not Amon. I'm talking a fucking Shane Coop beard. Something thick, something girthy, something you fucking feed shit to. Where the hell are you at, Traxler? Bumping the balls, bumping uglies, doing whatever you do on a Sunday night at the street corner. So quarterbacks, I can't think of one. No.
Dan Fouts.
I don't know, but I think Joe Namath did
He's the
shave
only
his
bearded
legs.
gentleman we can remember.
Like, Luck is more beard than not. Charlie mentioned Brady's beard. Favre's dabbled. Kurt Warner's possibly dabbled. I'm talking a real fucking beard here, so maybe he's the first. Maybe that's something, you talk about the black quarterbacks and the black coaches. Where the fuck are the beards? We don't know.
To go back to your bigger point about Andrew Luck and how good he is, again, re-rack the tape. I think one of the first times I was on a few years ago as far as being I think it might have even been Luck's rookie year. But anyways, I said in no uncertain terms that he was going to win multiple Super Bowls. And I've been high on him all this year too. I had him as my MVP. I fully agree that he's in that elite class, and if it's not already, he's in that one or two in the next couple of years. I don't think there's a quarterback that's going to be put up the numbers and have the success he's going to. Because if you look at that roster that Indy has right now, it's still pretty terrible. They're still rebuilding up the roster. They got him. They're going through him. They find any sort of offensive line to help him, and any sort of defense. That's going to be one hell of a team.
And this is his third year, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's his third year taking over that awful New England or Indianapolis team without Peyton that went 2-14 or whatever, and in year 3 he's already in the AFC title game. That's a pretty solid, progressing each year, getting better and better and better. I think. Yeah, I mean, and I'm not certainly saying anything new here, but yeah, like everyone said, he's probably going to end up being pretty good. He's shown to be pretty good so far.
Yeah, heck, he's made it. He's won the division each of the first 3 years. I agree with Schottenkirk. They need to get a few more weapons around here. I don't know if Moncrief is going to necessarily be the complement to T.Y. Hilton, but they could, with Reggie Wayne eventually retiring here, probably at the end of this year or maybe next year. They do need to get him some more weapons.
New England's the only thing in their way. Denver's done. Manning's done. Time's ticking for New England. It's got to end sometime. This Atlanta Braves fucking streak's got to end. And when it does, Indianapolis, they are, I believe, your team to beat. The first of a few trivia questions. Yes.
You got to watch out for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
In about 7 years' time, they might make the playoffs. So.
Kyle Allen in 7 years. You got to look out.
Let's do it.
The first trivia question, the way we'll do this here, we'll do the bidding process since there's not enough people to go head-to-head without multiples going head-to-head. We'll start here. 10 answers to this. Teams that have ended Peyton Manning's season in the playoffs. Start with Charlie. How many do you think you can name? And then we'll go see if stacking.
So this is like name that tune. Like I could name that in 3 seconds, and then everyone keeps upping it.
Yep.
And
you need all of them with no wrong answers.
I could do 5.
5 stacking. Could you do more than 5 teams that have ended?
Yes.
How many?
I'll go 6.
Mr. Schottenkirk can do more than 6.
I'll begrudge and go 7.
Mr. Hildebrand, would you like to raise it?
I want to see Schottenkirk name the 7.
Mr. Stacken.
I think he probably can. I don't want to go to 8 though.
Mr. Stacken, show me your balls. You want to go to 8?
Not entirely, but I'll do it. I'll go 8.
Mr. Schottenkirk, would you like to up it to 9?
Sure would.
Mr. Stacken, can you name every team?
Oh, give me like 10 seconds and I'll finish my list here.
Every time we've done this, Stacken always loves just contemplating what he wants to do on live stuff.
Do it. I'll give it to Schottenkirk here. I want to take it, but I'll let him do the honors.
Mr. Schottenkirk.
All right, I got the first 3 in order, and after that, it'll probably be all over the place. But Tennessee.
Sure.
Miami, I think, was the second one.
Sure.
The Jets.
Yep. 2 times.
The Patriots, obviously.
2 times.
What was that, like 2006, 2007? I think Pittsburgh got them.
Did.
Boy.
That's 5, right?
Tis.
The Chargers.
2 times.
That was back-to-back years too. That was good. Oh yeah, obviously the Saints.
Yep.
Oh, what am I at? Is that 7 or is that 8?
3 to go.
Shit.
2 more. Hildebrand's dog cannot participate.
This time, for the first time ever, it was not my dog this time.
Those are my roommate's dogs.
Goddamn Stack, and look at this. They cannot participate.
So I got Baltimore, right?
Baltimore, one more.
Well, let's go with Seattle last year.
Seattle last year. What's the last one?
Indy today.
There you go.
Oh, suck on that.
Suck on that. Suck on that Peyton Manning trivia question, if you would. The Baltimore-New England game. I enjoyed this game tremendously. I was all on Baltimore. They lost 35-31. The interception there at the end, Joe Flacco on the 2nd and 5, 40, 50-yard pass to end it. Baltimore. Again, what's the deal with Baltimore? Why? Why does it happen? Any reason why?
Joe Flacco's cool in the playoffs. He's just take that temperature. He's acting real cool. He's Joe cool. He played really good, except he threw his first 2 interceptions in the last, 6 playoff games or something like that. He had the stretch of 17 touchdowns, no interceptions. The defense was getting after Brady, and Brady decided to get back in the face of the Ravens. And ultimately, I think the Ravens secondary this time around, they didn't pass the smell test. They weren't going to stop Brady forever.
Yeah, that defensive backfield of Baltimore has been pretty depleted the last 4 or 5 weeks, and it caught up to them at the wrong time. John Harbaugh's a great coach, and that defensive line was playing out of their minds. New England didn't run the ball at all, and it's been, Flacco's been Joe Cool, as they say in the playoffs, and it's just they find a way. And I respect the team. Obviously, a couple weeks ago they looked like absolute hell against Utah. Going to Pittsburgh, beat them pretty good. And they had every right to be in that game and almost win in New England yesterday. It's coaching, and it's just a product of Flacco being a pretty big time performer.
I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I might throw up while saying this as a Dolphins fan, but it was pretty impressive that New England, with 0 running game and a whole bunch of white dudes at receiver that probably wouldn't be great at a lot of other places, found a way to beat a pretty good Baltimore team. Now, certainly Gronkowski is a fantastic tight end. I don't know if Julian Edelman and guys like that would get a whole lot of playing time at about 15 other NFL teams, though.
Mm-hmm. No way of knowing this, but do you think New England will get as lucky as the Colts did with another Hall of Fame quarterback in a few years? Are they that lucky to do that?
No.
Green Bay was the same way to get lucky to get Rodgers, but nope, it's got to run out because that's pretty historic. You think about it, the Green Bay going from Favre to Rodgers, the Colts going out from Manning to Luck, and Luck, in all likelihood, it could be that the next guy that we think of in Peyton's breath, as far as being how good he could be, but there's no chance that Jimmy Garoppolo's that guy, in my opinion. I could be proven wrong, but
we lost audio on Mr. Schottenkirk's end here.
I, for the most part, would agree with Schottenkirk. I think it's unlikely that they will be able to do it. The one bright side is Belichick has drafted pretty well for the most part. The downside is usually the guys that end up being fantastic at quarterback are taken in the top 5 in the draft. And I think it's unlikely New England will be picking in the top 5 unless they make some serious trades. So I think they could probably find a guy that'll be good and will be a solid, replacement for him. But yeah, I don't think they're going to have the same luck that Indianapolis or Green Bay did and said, thanks for the memories, Hall of Famer, and this guy might end up having a better career than you, who, despite the other guy, was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Do we have David back?
I hope so.
Very good. Yes, we do. Stacking. How fun is it going to be when we watch the draft here and we have our 9-hour show? How fun is it going to be to see Jameis Winston be drafted number 31 to New England? Ain't that going to be fun?
That's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to that. He's going number 1 to Tampa.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Calling it right now.
We went Manziel v. Bortles last year. Winston, shit. Honest to God, he's going to be. Anybody want to go pro Winston? Saying, he's not going to be average. If you think he's actually going to, make playoffs, win a couple playoff games here, this kid's probably going to blow something up his nose, and he'll be done. He seems like a very dumb guy. So
I won't go very far, but I will say this, that he's a more successful pro than Mariota is.
Okay.
So
he could be. I mean, I think they'll probably go in the first round. I think, and I'm not going far on a limb saying this either. I think it's quite possible that, both these guys 4 years from now aren't starting anymore in the NFL because while they're certainly great college quarterbacks, they just might not be great in the pros. I mean, neither of them's certainly a surefire. This guy's going to be fantastic.
I think the Jets pick 6. I think if he falls past the Jets, he could fall quite a ways, I think.
I would agree with that, but I don't see him falling past 6, though. That's the thing.
No, yeah. NFL coaching moves. Nobody's taking the Raiders' job. Nobody wants that. Buffalo hires Rex Ryan.
Stupid.
For what? For Buffalo?
For Rex.
He should have gone to Atlanta, I believe is the consensus.
Atlanta or maybe even San Francisco. But if he wants to beat Bill Belichick, then get out of the fucking division. I mean, he's not going to overtake New England here with E.J. Manuel, I don't think. Unless, I mean, he would have been much better in a situation where he could, and where he had a franchise quarterback, a very good offense, and he could help build that defense. He's already going to a place that already has a phenomenal defense. So what's he going to improve there? It's really going to be all about offense. I've heard reports that it could either be Greg Roman or possibly Mark Trestman. That's fine. It's a good move because I think he is a good coach, but I don't like the fit nearly as much as I do Atlanta or even San Francisco. I think Atlanta was the best choice overall.
Well, let's be honest with Rex Ryan. With his personality and the personality of this team, I get that they probably wouldn't have a great win and loss record, but wouldn't Rex Ryan be like the perfect Oakland Raiders head coach?
Yeah, that'd be fun. That would be fun. What do we got?
I guess I don't get if he must really want to beat Bill Belichick. That's the only reason I can understand him staying within the division.
Maybe his wife just really likes the East Coast. I don't know.
Could be. 5 jobs open.
And maybe I'm way off base.
Who knows? 5 jobs left open. Names that you expect to get hired. You got Dan Quinn with Seattle.
Yep.
Doug Marrone. What? He's going to the Jets. Is that right?
Dan Quinn sounds like he's now the front runner in New York.
Todd Bowles with defensive guy for Arizona. Gary Kubiak, offensive coordinator, Baltimore. Mike Shanahan, he can go to hell. Del Rio with Oakland. Darrell Bevell for some reason with Seattle. That should be a hell of a lot of fun. I mean, what a joke that is. McDaniels with San Francisco. Any names and places that you feel solid about? You got the Broncos offensive coordinator. Any names to places that you feel strongly?
You said there's 5 open spots still?
Yes.
4 of them I think will probably be reasonable ones that you'll look at and go, oh, that makes sense. And Oakland's will be one that everyone goes, what the hell are they thinking? Oh, yeah, this is why they're so bad all the time. And I know I'm not going very far out on a limb in saying that.
I'm going either Mike Shanahan or Jack Del Rio to the Raiders. I think those are the 2 names. Dan Quinn to the Jets, Todd Bowles to Atlanta, and Gary Kubiak to Chicago.
Kubiak to Chicago.
Kubiak's not going anywhere this year. Probably next year. That's just my opinion. I think he likes the role he's at right now in Baltimore.
I agree. He might not go, but I think he's become a hot commodity because of what he's done with that Baltimore offense, that stretch run. I mean, he remade Justin Forsett this year. He helped provide some balance to that Ravens offense. I think I think his stock rose entirely, or in large part, because of what he did with Justin Forsett.
Okay.
I think no matter, I just have one name. I don't really care about the rest of them. I'm interested to see where Dan Quinn goes, wherever he goes. I think it's going to be the best hire for like I said, whoever it is, I think he's been the driving force for on the defense in Seattle the last couple of years, even more so than Gus Bradley. And Gus Bradley's my beloved Jaguars coach right now. I think Quinn's going to have pretty big success. It should be, it might not be right away, but if he goes to the right situation, I really like his chances to become a very good head coach in the league.
Knowing what we know about Oakland and how they do things, tell me Brady Hoke can't be the next head coach.
Oh, man.
I was thinking Greg Schiano, but either one will do.
I mean, you mix the MRSA in Tampa from Schiano with the sewage in Oakland, you have got a serious goddamn situation.
You've got ISIS.
You've got terroristic type shit.
And I do think Atlanta is, like I say, they're either going to go after Quinn or Bowles, but if they want an offensive coach, it's going to be Josh McDaniels.
Let me throw a name, Mr. Schottenkirk's way. Yep. Somebody he's familiar with. Not this year, maybe not next year, but sometime in his life. Jim Mora. Does he take a jump at any point?
Yep, and it's coming pretty soon. Trax and I actually had this conversation starting off and on 3-4 weeks ago. We both think that he's going to. I'm in favor of it because I think he can be all right. Marcus doesn't see why the hell he would move. He's got a decent thing going there at UCLA, but I think he wants to prove to a lot of people that he's can do it. And UCLA, obviously, yes, they've ran LA these last few years, but the facts are the facts. As far as it's always second fiddle in Los Angeles, unless they beat USC the next 10 years in a row. I mean, with Hundley not there anymore, it's going to be interesting if he can still have the success that he's had these last few years. He's been recruiting just okay, but a big part of me thinks that he's a lot more suited just personally and within himself to be a coach in the pros. And I don't think it will be this year, even though I could see 1 or 2 spots being, kind of makes sense. But I would be surprised if he's at UCLA more than another 2 seasons.
Mr. Stack and the Rams to L.A., are you in favor of this move? Do you want to see this move? If you don't want to see this move, they're from L.A. Go back to your tradition, damn it.
Okay, L.A. had 2 NFL franchises, lost both of them, and now they think that they can support another one. It's just the same damn merry-go-round, and you know what? USC's the pro football team there in in Los Angeles in Southern California. Keep them there.
They get paid just as well as the pros do, too.
Yeah, I know, right? I think the team that makes the most sense to move to LA, if there is one, is San Diego, so they can keep that Southern California market. This Stan Kroenke seems like a shifty fella, and it already seems like he's got one foot out the door with not returning any of St. Louis city officials' phone calls and whatnot. The Rams have unveiled a plan. I think they unveiled it Friday. No Rams officials or representatives were present. So it seems like the Rams are gone. I don't want to see it happen. I'm so sick and tired of this LA NFL nonsense.
Well, if you move a team there, it can all end. You won't have to hear about it anymore. Move a team there.
And so they can move it another 10 or 15 years?
No.
If the Rams go to L.A., though, then we can't have every team going, you know what, that's it. We're going to move to L.A. and freaking out every one of the fan bases.
Then we can focus on London. Great.
Huh.
London's 100 times worse than Los Angeles, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely there will be an NFL team in Mexico City before in London.
Logistically, London is a nightmare. You know what? I guess fans don't show up at St. Louis games anywhere, so if there is a team that should move it, I don't know. I think San Diego, they say they get a large percentage of their fan base, or where a lot of revenue and stuff comes from is the LA market. So they're going to fight tooth and nail to prevent a team like St. Louis from moving in on that. But whatever, it sounds like maybe 2 teams could go to LA. So again, in 10 or 15 years, the city of Los Angeles will be without NFL football, so we're just going to go through this whole fiasco.
Really, if somebody's moving there, they're building a new stadium. I mean, I think they're there for good. I don't think they're. I mean, the team that moved in and moved out was Oakland. They were there about 12 years. I mean, they're goddamn Oakland, for God's sakes. And the Rams had been there for 50 years. and they moved to St. Louis because the Cardinals moved to Arizona about 5-6 years before, and St. Louis looking for a team. Charlie, do you see? I mean, Marcus, I guess he's on the 2-team deal. Do you see 2 teams doing this here? Sharing a stadium?
I would say just one. I mean, it could be 2, but I would say just one. And to echo your point you just made, that other than the Raiders, for the most part, when teams move, they generally stay there. It's rare that teams move and then move again later. That's an uncommon thing.
Just kind of off the wall, but it is related to the same topic. There have been a lot of rumors and a lot of talk of, depending on who moves out there, if anybody moves out there in the near future, Kroenke's obviously trying to go ahead and build that stadium and whatnot. But in the meantime, if St. Louis does that and they get the hell out of St. Louis, there's a ton of people talking about a team that can play the Coliseum for a season or 2. They don't have their home yet, but they play at the Coliseum for 2 seasons or whatever. The Coliseum's undergoing a lot of renovations, getting a lot of money spent. It's interesting to me, and I kind of halfway see it happening, because that would be just that next step. Hey, this NFL stadium, Coliseum, USC would try to use it, as some sort of advantage for a year or 2. And if there's any chance of that working out, I think they should do it. Probably will do it.
Because I would say if you build a new stadium there, you're going to get a Super Bowl. And word on the street is that brings in big money. And if you build a new stadium, you may get a college football playoff game / national championship game in the future. So money to be made there. St. Louis, should they go all out, Mr. Stacken? Should they try to keep this team public funded? No, $900 million, $1 billion stadium. I mean, the stadium's only 20 years old.
Yeah. If I were them, I would try and do whatever I can to keep the NFL in St. Louis, but they've been dragging their feet through the mud for so many years. That's why Stan Kroenke's fed up enough to just say, to hell with you, I'm going to L.A. to begin with. St. Louis better go all in, throw all their chips on the table, give them whatever resources, whatever money they want. But then again, this is a baseball town. The fans don't really show up to Rams games anyway, and they probably won't do it. I am interested to see, though, if indeed Stan Kroenke can get the majority of owners' votes. I believe there are at least a few out there that will say no, most notably San Diego and Oakland. It sounds like he would move them out there regardless, but that's a heavy lawsuit that could come his way. There is probably 24 votes, but I don't think it's a slam dunk.
Hypothetically, if that vote took place, I'm just racking through the names in my head, and right off the shoot, I come up with a number of 26 or 27 owners that would vote yes, go ahead, go out there. So I think the support's there, and it's pretty well secured that if they want to, they could.
Well, Jerry Jones is heading that support, so.
Yeah, that kind of helps things.
I was very interested in the Raiders' move to LA, and looking on Wikipedia, there was back and forth with court deals that the NFL didn't want them to move, but Al Davis moved anyway. And what I found interesting is that when they moved from LA back to Oakland, usually you have to pay a fee to relocate, which the Raiders did from Oakland to LA, but they did not have to pay that same fee when they moved from LA to Oakland, because apparently the NFL never recognized their move to LA. So Al Davis saved some money there, which I found interesting. They did not have to pay the relocation fee.
He also saved money on his car insurance by switching to Geico.
So he's got plenty of money to spend. Him and his Band-Aid face and the grave that he currently sits in. So.
Yeah, I think the Band-Aid face meant that he ultimately paid a pretty big price in the end.
Hell of a way to go out, though. Hell of a way to go out. Reports say that Russell Wilson's set to be the highest-paid quarterback, highest-paid player in the league. Charlie, is that right? Should he get that amount of money?
Personally, I'd say no. I mean, I understand if you're the Seahawks why you do it, because I think he is a good quarterback that could get better. And, he's certainly, one of the guys you would look to be the leader on the team for the future. But I would say no. I would say there's like 4 or 5 quarterbacks that should be getting paid that much money. And unless you're a guy like like Brady could against the Ravens, like all by yourself, essentially winning the game. Unless you can do, or like Aaron Rodgers today, kind of. Unless you can do something like that, you shouldn't get paid that much money. And I think while Wilson is good and he could improve and even get better, he's not at the point now where Seattle can say, hey, we need to throw it 60 times because we can't do anything else, and you need to win us this game all by yourself, Russell.
Anybody think that Wilson should be paid the most? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter to me, and I don't think he should. But that's the whole problem with the system, though, is that they're all going based off the last quarterback to get a massive deal. But in this case, it's probably Cutler got his extension. But you go through the list of elite quarterbacks, and they're all getting paid, X amount. So the next one due for an extension is like, hey, this guy got this much, get me $5 more million because I want to be the highest paid. It's all, it's a lot of greed for some of the quarterbacks, and it's just a system because once one signs for $120 million, the next guy's got that much more, bargaining power with his owner, with his agent, and say, hey, get me $5 million more, I'll stay here for the next 6-7 years, and let's go. It's just a matter of incremental. If Wilson gets a deal like this, can you imagine what Luck's deal is going to be like in a couple of years?
Yeah. I think he should be paid at least top five to seven money. He should be paid more than Joe Flacco. I think he does more for his team than what Joe Flacco does.
I would disagree strongly.
You disagree?
Yeah, I'm not on the Flacco bandwagon. I think Flacco's massively overrated, but I agree with Schottenkirk. I think Flacco does more than Russell Wilson does.
I just love that the playoffs come and all of a sudden he's just the best quarterback there is.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It's ridiculous. You can't predict it, but I enjoy that. Anybody not think it'll be Seattle, New England?
I guess I'm gonna stick with Green Bay and New England because that's what I said at the beginning of the year. I don't know if I truly think it'll be that, but that's what I'm gonna go with. Since earlier.
Stack and
I'm gonna go 20% in favor of Green Bay and New England, but I think the overwhelming majority is going to be Seattle, New England. I'm going to give 80-20. I'll give Green Bay a 20% chance.
This last month I've been Seattle, New England's been my whole mantra, and I don't see it happening the other way, but just like Charlie, I got to stick with Seattle, Indy since I called at the beginning of the year, so I'll be rooting for it anyways.
I will as well root for Indianapolis, my Indianapolis Colts versus my team of the week, the Indianapolis Colts. Baltimore was my team last week. Pittsburgh was my team the week before. And
if you stuck with the Colts, then you and Schottenkirk could have a good rivalry over the next 10 years since he got the Jaguars.
Wait, so are you saying whichever team's your team of the week is the one that's guaranteed to lose the next week?
Not looking good.
Because if that's the case, I think you should be a Seattle fan. Then.
I should. Houston was my team for Week 17. I was rooting for Houston to get in there. So a bad run for my team of the week. What would a line look like? Seattle, New England.
Seattle, New England, probably about a 4-point favorite for Seattle.
Seattle, okay.
3.5, 4 points.
I hear there's a college football game tomorrow night. Oregon versus Ohio State. So I'll pose the same question. Will anybody take Ohio State to win?
I will. I'll take them. I'll definitely take them against the spread. I'll take them straight up to win. I think Myers got the magic. Obviously, a third-string quarterback. I love what they did against Alabama, the physicality level. I'm a Pac-12 guy. If Oregon wins, I'll be happy in that sense too. But from a football perspective, I think Myers a better coach. The talent's pretty well equal, and I like Ohio State's defense a little bit more than I like Oregon's defense. So I'll take Ohio State. In a shootout, probably 41-35, 41-38 type game in a very good game.
I want to see some goddamn points, so that's good.
I think there's a good chance there's going to be a whole bunch of points. I think in terms of the matchup, if I hadn't picked Oregon so early in the year, I might look at it differently. But I mean, if someone came in and said, I'm stumping for this team because they're certainly going to win, I wouldn't say you're wrong. I could see either team winning by 20. I could see this being, a 48-yard field goal on the last play of the game gives one of the teams probably not Oregon. They don't kick really long field goals. But that's another story. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm ultimately going with Oregon because I picked them at the beginning of the year. I think this is going to be kind of like the matchup I wanted in the Rose Bowl. well, where I think it's going to be high scoring, and Ohio State will not turn the ball over as many times as Florida State did. I don't think either defense is going to be able to consistently stop the other one. I'm going to go with Oregon winning, like, let's say, I'll say 49-45. I'm going to go with a super mega high scoring game.
Wow. 49-45.
I really want Oregon to win, but in the last about 48, 72 hours, I'm coming to the mindset that I think Ohio State is going to win. Oregon's going to be without their number 2 wide receiver who got suspended for smoking pot. I think that hurts them a little bit. Ohio State really opened my eyes in the Sugar Bowl with their ground game and how they were able to come back against Alabama. And then I hear something about they get, 20 extra hours or something to practice for Oregon. Is there a lot of truth to this story? Because I think
I read something about that it was like since Oregon, like one of them hadn't started classes yet, so they could practice more. Where
What the hell?
The other one, since the school semester had started, they were only allowed to practice like 20 hours a week, even though none of them.
I didn't know
were
the
even
basis
there.
of that. I didn't know the basis of the story, but that is a bunch of that really favors Ohio State that they get that extra 20 hours to practice against the Oregon offense.
To be correct here, I'm fairly certain that Ohio State started school and Oregon's the one that didn't. So I think we might have that flip-flop. I'm pretty sure Ohio State started right back that Monday after the first of the year. So they're probably the one that's short the practice time. I could be wrong, but I distinctly remember hearing somebody say Ohio State started school on like the 4th or whatever it was. So they're the ones probably out of the practice time.
But either way, they still get 20 more hours, and I think that is a competitive disadvantage to Oregon.
I would agree. No matter which way it is, it's a disadvantage for the other team.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage, especially because they only get a week and a half to prepare. If you got that, if you got a week longer, that you got to practice unlimited time, but you still had almost a month like it is earlier, then I don't know if that'd make as big of a deal if they got 1 week where they can practice more out of 3.5 weeks. But yeah, in this case, it makes a difference. There's advantages that both teams have that they can, if they can exploit it, they could end up. They could, I could see them winning by 14. Certainly Oregon's got the best quarterback in the country, and then like you said though, but they're out of some of their skilled players. Ohio State's also got a quarterback that's pretty good, but it's not as experienced, and we'll see if he can turn it around after well as he did against Alabama for the most part. And also, Ohio State got beat up a lot more than Oregon did on the way to winning. Oregon won pretty handily. Ohio State won, but it was a physical game, and they're probably more beat up. They had longer than a week off, but I could see that affecting Ohio State early on at least, I think. I mean, either way, I think this will be, and maybe this is wishful thinking to a slight extent on my part too, but I think this will be the best game of the entire bowl season.
Really?
I do. Now, it might not have the craziest ending as some of them do, but I mean from start to finish overall. And I think the thing that's going to help the most is that there's not this, almost month-long layoff where, it takes the whole first quarter for everyone to kind of warm up and get back into things. I think with a week and a half, they'll be ready to just kind of get back out there, in rhythm, doing whatever they need to do.
Which team's more likely to blow the other one out if you had to pick? Obviously, Charlie, you're going to Oregon. Could you see a scenario where they blow the doors off them, or do you think if the vice versa, if they go down, do you think Ohio State could put the boots to them in the second half?
I'm not trying to take this as a cop-out answer. I could truly see either one winning by 21 points, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get the breaks to go their way. If Ohio State turns it over 2 or 3 times with a quarterback who, I mean, he's third string, but let's not kid ourselves. He's not some, try-hard walk-on guy who's just lucky to see the field. Cardale Jones is plenty talented, but he doesn't have a lot of experience, and if he turns it over, I think Oregon's shown, not just this year, but over the last 3 or 4 years. If they win the turnover battle, it's almost impossible to beat them, and they'll make you look stupid quickly. Well, at the same time, it's been mentioned earlier, guys at receiver that have been out and have been banged up, and if Ohio State's defensive line, if they can find ways to kind of frustrate Mariota a little bit, and they can keep their receivers from doing things, getting separation and making big plays, I could see Ohio State winning by more than one score too. I think ultimately it's going to be a one-score game. and be very entertaining. And I think that's one of the things I like, though, is that there's so many. Both teams have advantages that they are very, very, very good at, but the other team has plenty of things they can say, oh, well, you're good at this, but we are much, much better at this.
Is it fair to say, or is it interesting that when Oregon loses, they usually lose pretty big? They never lose close games. They lost to Auburn in the title game 4 years ago, close, but they got their asses kicked by Arizona. They lose to Stanford.
That was a one-touchdown game against Arizona.
So is it fair to say they lose big or not?
Yes, that's a team that can. Yes, Stanford obviously a physical team. That was their whole thing, is that Oregon's good, but they're not physical enough to be at that national power level. They proved that wrong against Florida State in a sense. But yeah, a team like that, if it goes wrong and they get down and they start panicking, start not running their stuff, and start throwing the ball around, whatever. Yeah, Oregon is susceptible to losing by a couple of scores, but it's really hard for me to see. Like Joey said, it's really, really hard for me to see anybody losing big, and that's obviously it's a championship game. Both these teams deserve to be here, and you could say that about any championship game. That until it happens, you can't see it. Even USC Oklahoma 10 years ago, everybody that game, those were two very good teams. Most people were picking USC, but nobody would have thought they would have beat them by 35, 36 points or whatever it was. It's just, until it happens, it's almost impossible to sit here with these quality of teams and say, hey, one's going to beat the other by 30. It's just unless you got a really good gut feeling or you just want to take a risk and get lucky. But
yeah, the other thing, we've seen playoffs at the other levels of college football. Obviously, we haven't at this level though, and it's just, I can't think of too many times for anybody where you play someone ranked in the top 4, and then you turn around and play someone else ranked in the top 4 just a week later. Usually your huge games, a lot of the times, are like a conference title game, and then the bowl game where you've got 3 or 4 weeks to get ready for it. And it's just not a situation that you see very often, where essentially you're playing 2 bowl games in a week and a half, and how they can do it. I think there will be a lot of really fun stuff, and I hope the game's as good as I'm making it out to be in my brain.
Playing those teams comes to mind like a LSU schedule a few years ago, or an Auburn schedule last year. They're playing Alabama, they're playing Florida State, they're playing all these top-ranked teams back-to-back. Not necessarily back-to-back weeks, but back-to-back games, and they got pretty good schedules. If Cardell Jones pulls this off, you beat Wisconsin, you beat a couple of top 5 teams. Is this one of the most unlikely stories in a long, long time?
Yeah. To be down to your third-string quarterback and then win the national championship, it speaks volumes to what Urban Meyer's done. And
then to sit on the bench next year like that.
I can't think of a whole lot of stuff like that in general. I know in '94, Tommy Frazier missed like 7 or 8 games, but they went to their second-string quarterback, Brooke Behringer, who was also pretty good, but they didn't go to their they didn't have their third-string quarterback playing Oklahoma or Miami in the big games. He didn't play at all. I don't know. This maybe isn't a perfect comparison, and Kurt Warner played a lot more games, but I guess it'd be sort of like when what's his name, when Banks got hurt for the Rams, and all of a sudden this other guy comes in, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess this guy's pretty good, and we're pretty good too.
Since playoff 4 teams could go to 8, probably will fairly soon, are we going to maybe overrate some of these teams that end up winning it, since they will beat 2 or 3 top 4, top 5 teams in the span of a month? Will we look at these teams as being better maybe at the end of it because they've proven it on the field versus top-notch competition?
Yeah, probably. You're going to have an undefeated team run the gamut, go through the regular season, win their conference championship game, and then win the 2 playoff games and end the season 15-0. And then, the first team that does that here in the next few years, I'm sure it'll be done, that team will probably look back at it and say, no, just how truly great they were. But in all reality, how much better are they than a undefeated Alabama team from 4 or 5 years ago, or undefeated Auburn team, or whatever? Not that much in a lot of ways. Probably not at all. It's just that extra game, that extra big time opponent that they beat. That who's to say that actually proves that they're a better team than previous teams in years past?
Yeah, I think there will be some years where it'll be used as an advantage, and then there will be other years where some team with 2 losses, especially if they go to 8, someone that's 7th or 8th with 2 losses that doesn't win their conference, wins a couple of games, and everyone says, well, yeah, they're clearly the national champions, but this isn't like one of the best teams of even this year, let alone the last 5 years. And just the way playoffs work. Sometimes the best team wins in playoffs. Sometimes it's the hottest team, and you just never know what it's going to be until the season's over.
I have a college football-related trivia question. If David does win the betting on this, I have 3 more left, and I want to give the 2 others a chance. So somebody will get 2 trivia questions here, likely. One's baseball Hall of Fame related, one's NBA related. This one is college football related. Started with David, then Nathan, then Charlie. The Minnesota Gophers have faced 14 different teams in 17 different bowl games. How many of those 14 teams can you name?
Oh, boy. Well, started at 7.
No way.
Nathan.
Nope, not going to even take that.
Mr. Marshall's not taking it. Come on.
No.
Charlie, can you name more than 7 Gopher Bowl opponents ever?
I don't know if this is the best one I could do, but I think I'd have better luck with this than the other 2. I'll say I can name 9.
Okay.
Oh, damn it. 9 was kind of my number. Oh, if you would have won 8, I would have won 9 instantly. But, oh, shit. Let me think here.
You want to do 10? You do 10.
If I really thought about it, I probably could, but I'll let Charlie get 9.
Charlie Hildebrand, name me 9 of the 14 Minnesota Golden Gopher Bowl opponents in the storied history of the shitty program.
And now I hope I can just get to 5. So okay, so we got Missouri. We got Missouri this year.
I would say this is probably the toughest question of the bunch. Missouri, yes.
Okay, I know. In 2009, they played Iowa State.
Yes.
And now I'm trying to think because so many of the years they've been a mid-tier Big Ten team, and mid-tier Big Ten teams from 6 years ago kind of run together in my head. Did they play in the mid-2000s? Did they play Oregon?
Yes.
Okay.
That is 3. They played Oregon twice.
The Sun Bowl, baby.
Let's see. Okay. I'll just start naming teams before I start doing 20-second pauses with nothing happening on air. So let's say for the next one, I'll go with. I might be getting them mixed up with Iowa State. Did they play TCU in the early to mid 2000s?
They did not.
They did not. Okay, I was getting them mixed up with Iowa State then.
So how many are we at right now?
This is 3. This was a tough one. This was a tough one.
All right, just give me.
I forgot Texas Tech. I should have the biggest
yes.
bowl comeback ever. I don't know how I forgot that.
So who then? Texas Tech. You got Oregon. Who else did you get?
Iowa State, Missouri.
Iowa State, Missouri. Okay, Arkansas.
Yep.
Oh, they beat Alabama like 10 years ago.
Yep.
Virginia the year after that.
Mm-hmm.
And North Carolina State's the only other one I have. But
Yep.
other than that, I'm shit out of luck.
7 left. Mr. Stack, and we like to tickle my fancy here.
Nope.
Oh, I got one more. Kansas.
Kansas.
Yep.
Kansas.
Well,
Mr. Stack.
play like ass routinely in
They do.
football, so that's
They play like-
valid.
I'm looking Mr. Stack and right in his balls. I'm giving you one guess and one guess only, and I want you to get this one right, Mr. Stack. And one guess. Give me one team, and I expect you to give me one team and one team only.
Pittsburgh.
What is it? No! Think, for
Virginia
Christ's
Tech.
sake. Close. Very close. I would have given him that one. God damn it, Stack, and fucking think. Think.
I'm looking at it now, and I found a couple that I should have known, but
Think, for fuck's sakes. Think!
Yeah, I will here. Just settle down. Settle down.
One team! One! When I say one team, what is it?
come on.
Ah! Ah!
What?
Central Michigan.
No. Mr. Schottenkirk, would you give him,
The sports lounge team. Come on, guys, Clemson.
Oh!
the team!
Can't believe I didn't get that one.
What year was that?
A long time ago.
No.
1985 Independence Bowl.
Yeah. Then I'm looking here. The Rose Bowl, 61 and 62, they played Washington and then UCLA in back-to-back years. In 1977, the Hall of Fame Bowl in fucking Birmingham, Alabama, they lost 17-7 to Maryland. So, interesting enough.
I said UCLA, Syracuse, and Traxxer's favorite Tennessee. So that's it. That's your list right there. Still got a couple questions left. Still got the bracket. Still got Baseball Hall of Fame. 12. Everybody's up for this one. There's an NBA one. There's a Hall of Fame one. Name the 12 highest percentage vote getters for the Hall of Fame. The 12 players that got the highest percentage of the votes. There's the top 12.
What Hall of Fame are we talking about?
Baseball. Start with Nathan.
Bids first.
Start with Nathan, go to Charlie, and then David.
3.
3. You're the baseball guy. Very good.
I'll say 4.
Mr. Schottenkirk.
Yeah, I can get 5.
Nathan.
Nope.
And before we go any further, stacking, you should know. You have to do one of the, or it's the next one.
You're
that's
doing the NBA one. You're doing the NBA one,
I didn't. Oh yeah, I didn't. Okay, I was gonna say didn't I do the NFL one, but no, that was Schottenkirk.
No, you did not. Charlie, can you do do bids 5? Looking for 6.
I don't think I could do 6. So no.
David, name 5 of the top 12 highest percentage vote getters.
Okay, we'll start with number 1, Tom Seaver. I don't know how or why, but he's number 1. I know that for a fact. Okay, let's go. Ty Cobb has to be up there.
Sure.
Hank Aaron has to be up there.
Yep.
Nolan Ryan, I think.
Yep.
Is that 4?
4.
Boy. Cal Ripken Jr.
Yep.
I think I have one, maybe 2 more, but Greg Maddux, is he up there?
Yep.
And the other one that I had in mind was George Brett.
Yes.
Okay. And other than that, there's some names, but I'm not quite sure on any of the rest of them. So.
Anybody else?
I know the handful I had, most of them he said. The one other one I would say, I don't know if it's on there, but I'd feel stupid for not at least trying it. Is Babe Ruth one of them?
It was not. It was 13, I think. I cut it off deliberately right in front of Babe Ruth. I found that amazing. Yes. Mr. Stacken.
Yeah.
Give me 1.
What was said so far?
A bunch of white guys and 1 black man. There's 1 black man remaining along with a bunch of white guys. 2
Okay,
pitchers.
so Jackie Robinson is mentioned.
Nope.
I've got the other black guy, Kriens, on lockdown if he doesn't get it.
Bobby Bonilla, no. Bobby Bonilla, no.
Is it Frank Robinson?
No. Good guess, but no.
0 for 2, come on.
Solid guess. He died in the past year.
Oh,
Still can't get it.
No, never mind. I wasn't gonna get it. So
He was a good hitter.
I was gonna say Roberto Clemente, but I know that's not it.
No. Tony Gwynn was the guy.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, there we go.
For some reason, I just had another name. For some reason, I want to say Johnny Bench is like 5th or 6th.
Yep, he is. He's about 11.
Oh, okay.
When you said there was another black gentleman, I assumed that it was Willie Mays as the other one. Surprised Willie Mays was not.
You would,
higher,
this is
but
an odd
all these
list.
guys are pretty good. Yeah. I mean, the highest percentage of Hall of Fame, you're dealing with guys that are pretty darn good. So
when people talk about the greatest of all time, they get Babe Ruth, they get Willie Mays. Somehow not in the top 10, not in the top 12. Amazing.
Was Ted Williams or Joe DiMaggio on the list?
Again, no. I don't know how. I mean,
in fairness, though, too, guys, I did look at that list a few days ago because I was interested, so I just remembered some of those names. Otherwise, I would have no idea. But
Mike Schmidt, Steve Carlton, and a guy that was elected this year, Randy Johnson. We got around 97% or so.
Randy Johnson, I think maybe the best thing about Randy Johnson is if you had to face if you needed a pitcher to shut down a left-handed pitch or a left-handed hitter and your life depended on the outcome. I don't know if Randy Johnson's the one guy I'd pick, but he'd be really high on the list to get one left-handed guy out.
Yeah, if my life's on the line, he's one or two. There's only one other guy I can think of that I put my life on the line with. But yeah, it's insane what he did against lefties.
Yeah, 4 guys.
Who's the other one? Sandy Koufax.
Yep.
Yep, it'd be one of those two in their prime for me.
Yep.
To
Absolutely.
get a left-handed guy out.
I'm assuming Jose Majares is not eligible.
No, he just missed the cut.
Shit. Any problems? I mean, there's 4 guys elected this year: Smoltz, Pedro, Randy Johnson, and Craig Biggio. Mike Piazza just misses it. Any problems with the list? I know David has something to say maybe about the process. We touched on it last week. Tom Pelissero with St. Paul Paper in Minneapolis, or near Minneapolis, covers the Twins, and he left Pedro and Randy Johnson off because he knew they were getting in, and he wanted to use his vote on somebody else.
That was Mike Bernardino that did that.
Mike Bernardino, I got him wrong. Yep, I get him mixed up.
Okay, but yeah, honestly, I have a massive issue with that, and yeah, we can get into right away as far as, Barry Bonds and all these Sarah guys. I think sooner or later they're going to get in, and put an asterisk next to the name, and I've been a very big opponent to that until, this last year or two, and I started to realize, baseball, you can say what you want if it's a dying game, if it's starting to come back a little bit, interest. I mean, the TV ratings are okay, fan interest as far as going to the stadiums is okay, but it's just in that mainstream, it's not as popular as it was, obviously. But 50 years from now, when I have grandkids, I want to be able to go to the Hall of Fame with them and tell them about the guys that I saw when I was a kid. I want to be able to tell them about Barry Bonds. I want to be able to tell them about a couple of guys. And I will tell them at that point, too, hey, this guy was great and all, but there was, he did do this, he did cheat the game a little bit, but his talent was so great that, he deserved a spot anyways, and that's why he's got this thing next to his name. But if you think about it much, you will, but, it would feel wrong for me to not have these guys in, especially just the way it broke down. A lot of these guys, like I said, were, superstars when I was 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, and these are the guys I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. And it'll suck if they don't get in some fashion or another.
Yeah, they should. I mean, make a good point that part of baseball history, and Schilling, you said on the Dan Patrick show, stacking the Dan Patrick show.
I watched some of that this week. I watched a couple of interviews.
Good. What Curt Schilling said, or what he said Clemens and A-Rod should not get in, but Bonds should.
Right. And he didn't really explain himself, but the general assumption, he did to a certain extent, but not very in detail. It was kind of because
it makes no sense.
Well, what he was getting at, what a lot of people are getting at, is that Barry, before the steroids, was already a very first-class player, and yeah, the roids put him over the top, put him into all these home run records and whatever. But there is a distinct, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions, a distinct probability that without steroids, Barry Bonds still would have been a Hall of Fame type player.
I'd say that would go for all 3 of them.
Well, I would agree with that as well. But the thing is that Well, I don't think I shouldn't say I agree, but you look at A-Rod. He didn't have 10 years of okay to really good numbers before the the drug implications started.
Are we saying what 03? 03 when it started? 01, 02?
I'm saying as far back as 01 is when I started
So he had a good 5 years. 5 years.
Right, and you look at Clemens, and in those three names in that order, as far as deserving, I go Bonds, Clemens, A-Rod, as far as just pure numbers, pure speculation about when they started, how much they were doing, what they were doing, and all that. Obviously, these guys are stupid for what they did, and I don't like it, but like you said, it's a part of history, and the talent was there, and yeah, obviously their performance got enhanced, taking these pills and these medications and these drugs and whatever. It's just it feels almost. It's going to be a while, but once the first one gets in, it's going to be the old, the landslide that 5 or 6 of them the next year will get in that are all implicated with these steroids. And to Marcus's point that he made in the chat, I think Piazza gets unfairly lumped into these guys. As far as, I don't know if he came out and said that I don't know if he directly admitted to using something.
I guess he had a book a year or two ago, and he said he used like 04 or whatever year he said. He said, I use this, whatever, Andro or whatever that was.
Right, and I think he, in saying that, kind of, it's a double-edged sword. He's being honest. He's coming out, trying to get out in front of it a little bit. But then you start to wonder, well, if he's telling you that, how many years before that was he doing something else that he didn't tell us about? So he kind of gets lumped in with everybody else as far as his numbers. Because I'm kind of amazed that he isn't in already. I'm glad Bijou got in this year. I was pretty pissed off last year when he didn't get in. But the rest of the names, take them or leave them. I will say this, though, and Drew made a very good point. The fact that Carlos Delgado got dropped off the ballot in the first year is absolutely criminal. You can look at his numbers. In a lot of ways, his numbers are better than David Ortiz, and everyone thinks Ortiz is going to be a Hall of Famer, and he's done potentially.
Yeah, Delgado. 500 home runs, almost 500 home runs, and not a Hall of Famer, but sure as hell should get more than 5% of the vote. 280 hitter, 483 home runs over a 15-year career. Bonds and Clemens and those steroid guys, how are they different than McGwire and Sosa? As far as percentage of vote, there's a wide gap. Clemens and Bonds in the mid-30s, McGwire 10, 11, Sosa barely above 5.
Because I think people look at Bonds and Clemens as saying they were great without steroids, and because of Sosa and McGwire battling it out in the summer of '98 for the home run title, and it was like the big juice off, shall we say. I think people view them as the product of the steroids, and more so Bonds and Clemens as them just helping become even greater than what they already were. I think Bonds and Clemens were already considered greats and potential Hall of Famers by many people to begin with, and the steroids just made them almost a super phenom or superhuman.
I would agree with that. Do you have your list, the 32 wives bracket? We have voted. There are some ties that will be untied by David. A list of 32 wives. What do you have here as we get?
I figured all ties we'd break here by just whoever's on the show, since not all of us that voted are here today. That we could, although I guess since there's an even number, we could still have a double tie.
Right. Yeah, we can do that because there's only a couple. We'll do that. That's actually a really good idea, Charlie. But we'll just start at the top of the bracket here. Obviously, it would be nice if we could have this posted up as I'm talking about it. We'll figure that out for next week, hopefully.
Yeah.
You think you got some?
Maybe. Talk a little bit here.
We'll just start at the top, and I'll give you who advanced from the top left of the bracket and work our way down. The number 1 overall seed, Barbie Blank, a.k.a. Kelly, WWE, whatever, Diva. She won 6-0 over Lala Anthony. It was not very surprising. She moves on. Catherine Webb beats and Brandy Garnett 6-0. Nobody voted for Brandy Garnett, which kind of surprised me. And now that I think about it, really didn't. Catherine Webb's a potential. She could see a run coming her way deep into this tournament. Gabrielle Union won her first-round matchup against Christy Gomes. Not surprisingly, there was one vote for Christy Gomes. That was Mr. Alman. I don't know what
the hell's the deal?
I don't know what I'm thinking there too much.
Clearly, Alman's past Draxler, and he's now the hashtag racist one, I guess.
So Union moves on. This comes to our first tie. Lauren Tannehill against Larissa Frazier is 3-3 right now. We can go around and vote. Who would you want to advance out of this one? Tannehill or Larissa Frazier? I believe that Travis and I took Frazier. No, I think Travis and Charlie and I took Frazier originally, and the rest of them took Tannehill. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I like Tannehill's wife. I like Ryan Braun's thing here. Yeah.
Okay.
There were a large chunk of these that I did not know who they were, and I typed their pictures in. I knew who Tannehill was, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I'll pass her. And then I typed in the other one, and I was like, oh, never mind. So
that's another.
Yeah, so I
that's
went
another Frazier. So stacking. Are you sticking with Tannehill? Or you're gonna make this unanimous?
I'm gonna stick with Tannehill.
All right. Well, facts be damned and Stacking's thought be damned. We're going to go with Larissa Frazier and move on out of that one. So that top left bracket in the Wilt Chamberlain region.
Yeah.
We will have, there we go. We will have Barbie Blank against Catherine Webb in the first matchup in the second round of that bracket. And then
1 versus 16 here.
1 versus 16 there. And then moving down, we'll have Union against Frazier, which would be 9 versus 25.
So a bit of an upset.
Hey, Catherine Webb could be the first 16 seed to ever beat a 1 seed.
Oh, it's...
Hey, Harvard beat Stanford in women's hoops. Let's just remember that.
Sports stacking. We're talking sports. We're not talking charity here, for God's sakes.
Moving on down the bracket into the Jeter Regional, we got Lauren Cosgrove against Emily Kuchar. The only vote for Emily Kuchar came from one Mr. Traxler, so Lauren Cosgrove moves on there quite easily.
She's fairly older. She's fairly older, isn't she?
Who's that? Cosgrove?
Kuchar.
Kuchar. Yeah, she's I think in her mid-30s.
Cosgrove. Who's that?
That would be T.J. Oshie's wife, I believe.
Okay.
Pretty sure. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck Traxler was looking at here.
Yeah. But so Cosgrove moves on there. 13 versus 20. Emma Anderson versus Savannah Brinson, a.k.a. Mr. LeBron James. A shot that Travis should enjoy there. Look at
Mr. LeBron James.
Right. So he's the man in that relationship. Yeah, that was an insinuation for sure. You look at. We have 4-2 in favor of Miss Anderson, so she moves on.
Who were the two?
Me and Amon, I believe.
Jesus Christ, Amon. Ridiculous. We got to explain it.
He's making up for his non-Gabrielle Union vote. He's not a complete racist because Brinson's African American, so he can't claim that official hashtag.
So fair enough.
No guys in the tournament next time. No guys in the wife tournament next time.
Amon found a way to avoid the controversy. Good for him. He's a smart guy. I knew he'd find.
Moving down to the second half of that bracket, we have Carrie Underwood against Kim DeJesus. We look kind of an upset. Traxler and I think Traxler and somebody else took Underwood. The rest of us took Kim. She moves on, 21-12 there. Again, a quote-unquote criminal first-round matchup. You look at just the way, obviously Underwood's a bigger name, but DeJesus has a look. She moves on, so good for her. That leads us to the next tie, again at the bottom of a bracket, the Jeter Regional here. We have Maria Hansloven, who is the wife of one Andrew McCutcheon, against Alicia Cuthbert, Mr. Stacking's favorite woman. It's 3-3 right now, so let's go around the horn and see where we're at on that one.
Who did I vote for?
You, I believe.
I went with the upset.
Yeah, you went with the upset. You sure did.
That's a tough one there, boys. That's a tough one.
I'm going
There were 4 or 5 really difficult ones, and this one I thought was pretty difficult.
Cuthbert all
I
the
went
way.
with Cuthbert, too.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I'm afraid Jack Bauer will kill me if I don't care.
We'll go with her.
All right, we can do that. And that fucks up my entire bracket because, believe it or not, I had Hansloven into my semifinal.
Did that show up when I talked, or was that backwards? And
it showed up just fine.
Okay, it was fine? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the lady's last name that I cannot pronounce, Alicia Cuthbert, moves on. Good for her. So again, Stack's main lady there. That bracket, the bottom half of that bracket is upsets in the last 2 matchups. A 21 and a 28 move on, so good for them.
I'm gonna be pissed pretty soon. I'm gonna be pissed.
Move on over the top right, and the Larry Jaxler bracket, aka regional. Number 2 versus number 31. Giselle against Rachel Linke. Giselle moves on. They're 5-1. We all know that Travis is the only one for Giselle because he hates Brazilians for some reason.
Neither of them blew me away. Neither of them. Maybe a week is. Thank you. I apologize. Neither blew me. Anyways, so.
Moving down to the next one, this is the biggest shocker and the biggest injustice out of it. Samantha Ponder wins. She won 5-1. Can you name the person not to vote for Miss Ponder?
She won by 1 or what?
No, she won 5 votes to 1. But can you name the person that didn't vote for her?
Boy, Mr. Ahmed, since he's having a shit bracket so far.
Yeah, it's Mr. Ahmed that did not vote
for
her.
Sir? What the fuck?
He needs to get his eyes checked or something, I swear.
God damn it.
I was going to say if he were a Vikings fan, maybe he's just holding the choice of her husband against her, but...
Sam Ponder, a no-brainer going to the, Elite 8 for me. So
I'm agreeing with, just to jump in here quick, I'm agreeing with Kriens. I think I'm going to take her over Giselle. That's going to be
right. Goddamn right.
That'll be interesting next week to see how that breaks down. Moving down, we got Aisha Curry.
One of my time matchups next week, and that's going to be one of them.
Good.
You got Barbie Blank, number 1 versus Catherine Webb, 16 next week too to look forward to. So down, we got Curry versus Lindsay Colbert. We have Curry moving on 4-2. Travis not in favor of that one, I know.
Brutal.
Well, yeah, tough luck. You got your way in a couple of them, so we're moving forward, guys.
Yeah.
Number 7 versus number 26 at the bottom of that Larry Jaxler bracket. We have Jesse James Decker beating Vanessa Bryant 6-0. So
yeah, she's moving on too.
She's probably one of the bigger sleepers in the whole thing. Depending on who wins that Ponder or Giselle one, I could see her maybe getting out of that into the Final Four. Moving into our final bracket, the big Papa Pump bracket.
Nice.
Kristen Cavallari moving on against over Brenna McGuire. It was actually 4-2, pretty close. But Miss Cavallari, a.k.a. Mrs. Cutler, moves on there. She will face the winner of 14, Jamie Edmondson, who beat Amanda McCarthy 4-2 once again. A close one there.
Who won that one? Who won that one?
Amy Edmondson, Evan Longoria's wife did.
Good.
Yep. So Mrs. Evan Longoria against Mr. or Mrs. Jay Cutler in the second round there. Moving down, we have Candace Romo, Tammy Horton. That's actually the last tie on the list. So Miss Romo versus Miss Horton. What do you guys say?
That's a tie?
Yeah, that's a tie, 3-3. I think you voted Horton originally.
I did. Travis. I will stick with that.
Well, since Charlie bugged out on us here early, I'm going to have to break that one and go with Candace Romo.
That hurts, sir. That hurts.
Well, again, tough luck, as they say. Candace Roma moves on. She'll take on the winner of Elaine Alden Fields or Miss Welker, and Elaine Alden Fields moves on in that one. 5-1. The only vote for Welker came from one Mr. Traxler. So real quick, I'll just run down through the list of second round matchups that we'll go through next week. We have Barbie Blake against Catherine Webb. We have Gabrielle Union against Alicia Frazier. We have Lauren Cosgrove versus Emma Anderson. Kim De Jesus versus Alicia Cuthbert. We have Giselle versus Sam Ponder. Aisha Curry versus Jesse James Decker. Kristen Cavallari versus Jamie Edmondson. Candace Romo against Elaine Alden Fields. That sets up your second round. Some upsets on the bottom left of the bracket in the first round. Some 20 seeds advancing. Nothing too out of the ordinary for my money.
That right side of the bracket, I know what I'm picking right now. That right side is an easy pick for me.
It seems like Amon and Traxler had some rough goes at it with this bracket.
Well, it's personal opinion. It's not they have the right to their own opinion. But it's just a matter that they weren't in the majority a few times, anyways.
We'll get them. We'll have them explain themselves. I don't know. I got the Scott Steiner thing coming up here. You probably won't be able to hear it, but can you hear that at all? Can you hear it at all?
No.
Nope.
It's a goddamn volume here.
Oh, I got it. I can hear it now. Just a little bit.
Okay.
There it is. Is that the same video I shared a few weeks ago with you guys or not?
It's one. Yeah, it probably is.
I love that. I listen to that at least once a week for 3 minutes to just get in the zone.
Mr. Stacken.
Yes.
Did you know that Big Papa Pump is your hookup?
What?
Did you know that Big Papa Pump is your hookup?
Well, shit. No, I didn't.
Charlie, he knows. He knows. Is Charlie still? Charlie left. He still appears on my screen. His internet just went down, he said. So Charlie knows that Big Papa Pump is his hookup. So a good first round. The second round should be even better. Very exciting to see who comes out with this. I think more upsets on the way. So we're very excited. I think a job well done. Well, there you go. We have to finish it out. A couple more things, Mr. Stacken.
Mm-hmm.
You have a trivia question?
Great. Let's go. Let's do this shit.
1-on-1, baby. Let's go, Stacken.
Oh, God.
Do you want to go 1-on-1 with the great one?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Here we go. We're going to go back and forth. Stacken v. Schottenkirk. Stacken can start. Got to give me an answer. Don't give me an answer. You lose. Okay. Top 12 active NBA point leaders. Go. They have to have played a game. They have to have played a game this season to qualify.
Kobe Bryant.
They have to have played a game this season to qualify. Kobe Bryant. Mr. Schottenkirk.
Top 12 active. Let's go. Oh boy, this could be interesting if you really think about it. Let's go with LeBron.
LeBron James is on the list.
Ooh. Kevin Garnett?
Yes.
Paul Pierce.
Yes.
Dirk Nowitzki?
Yes.
Tim Duncan.
Yes.
Damn it. That wasn't my answer. Shoot.
They got the thing on ESPN here, the countdown to the kickoff, less than 24 hours away. They got the little gold bar at the bottom. They're going nuts. So. The top 6 on my list have been said.
Okay. Kevin Durant? I don't think so.
Nope.
No.
Mr. Schottenkirk, for the win.
For the win, let's go Vince Carter.
Vince Carter for the win.
Was D. Wade on there?
Dwayne Wade is on the list.
Damn it.
Carmelo Anthony should be on the list, too.
Carmelo Anthony is on the list.
Yeah.
Three obscure gentlemen round out the list.
No, oh boy. I think I got two more of them. Joe Johnson
Joe Johnson.
and Jason Terry.
Jason Terry.
After that, I don't know.
One more guy has probably got the worst shot I've ever seen.
Oh, been around forever. Where's he at now? He's in Cleveland. Sean Marion.
Sean Marion.
Boom.
He's on the list.
Suck on that, Stacking. Suck on it.
Nope. Hey, you're not playing with my forte here. So the basketball, the NBA, is definitely not it.
You're not playing.
Travis got another category or not? Because
No.
Stacking says that the NBA is not his forte. You got another one?
His forte would be the NFL. Is that your Joe forte?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll beat you at your own game here, Stacking.
I know. I'm sure you will, Schottenkirk. You're like the world's best trivia player. I swear.
Well, I won't go that far.
Well, hey, I remember when we started this whole trivia nonsense, and you would get the obscure, like the easy Dodger questions or whatnot. You knew everything when we did this before. So I have about as much confidence in me beating you in this as I do of the Colts beating the Packers should they meet in the Super Bowl.
The one that pissed you off the most, I think, was when I got what Laker scored the most in the NBA Finals game, and I got the Elgin Baylor. That one sent you over the cliff.
You know what else sent me over the cliff was my inability to get Jackie Robinson as the only Marlins holder.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, I'll give you a crack. Give me an NFL team. We'll do that.
Give me...
One that has not been picked from the trivia game 15 years ago.
Oh, great. You know what? Give me the Houston Texans.
I think you picked that during the game.
Oh shit. Well then I'll take the give me the Indianapolis Colts.
What was their first year in Indianapolis?
I know they're the Mayflower truck moved them.
Very good.
I want to say it was 1983.
1984. Would you like another crack?
Sure. Did you know that first off, Schottenkirk? Did you know that?
No, I would have got that wrong. I would have said 85 or 86. We were pretty close, but.
All right. Give me another one. Just give me a team. I don't care which one. Pick it for me.
Pick one for him, Schottenkirk.
Steelers.
Cordell Stewart. Do you remember Cordell Stewart?
Yeah, he went to school at Colorado.
In Boulder.
He retired with the second most rushing touchdowns ever for a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Who was number one?
I have two names in my mind that I think would be accurate for this one. It'd be either Fran Tarkenton or Randall Cunningham. I will say Randall Cunningham.
No.
Give me a second here. Actually, go ahead. I don't know it.
Steve Young. Steve Young.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna throw out a YA Tittle on your ass, but I figured. Yeah.
Tittle very close. Tittle very close. Otto Graham up there as well.
Was Fran Tarkenton even close there or no?
No. Randall Cunningham's 9th.
Yeah.
Fran Tarkenton's 13th. Otto Graham, some question Cleveland Browns before they were in the NFL, so that's questionable there. So that's your deal there.
Okay.
Any thoughts, David?
Well,
John Jones suspended here, probably coming up soon. Cocaine, something cocaine related in his system. Won the fight. We failed to mention that last week. Won the fight fairly decisively versus Daniel Cormier. Are you surprised rumors apparently that I had not heard of beforehand. But are you surprised? The cocaine.
Yes and no. I'm surprised that it did get out and that the test came back with that whatever was in his body, but it was that sneaking suspicion, and I can't claim that I had it, but I had heard from other people that follow the sport pretty closely and other supporters or whatever that there was more than just smoke there, that there was actual drug use, and sure as shit they were right. It's unfortunate and bad timing, but for him and for his moving forward, hopefully he does go through this rehab program and get himself right, because I love seeing what he does in the octagon. I hope to continue to be able to see that for the next how many years. And I joke, we all joke, and obviously me in particular, about drug use, and I find it kind of comical, whatever. But this is a 26, 27-year-old man that's at the top of his sport and one of the most entertaining and most talked about athletes in the world in a lot of senses. To be dealing with something like this, it all proves once again, hits home that we're human, people make mistakes, whatever. But I just hope it doesn't get any worse. I hope he catches it before it spirals out of control, because a drug like cocaine is not obviously something that you want to mess around with, and potentially ruin a life and a career that's got off to such a phenomenal and history-making start.
Anderson Silva has a fight coming up in a couple of weeks. There should be a beatdown, one of the Diaz brothers. Anyway, he does not win.
No, I don't think so. I think, I'll take that one step further. I don't think there's any way that Silva doesn't finish Diaz. I'm not going to say when, but I think he finishes him probably round 2. Silva's he's back. I think he should be fine. Obviously a bit of ring rust, and maybe a little bit of nerves or whatever, but the opponent and the skill levels don't really match up. I think once Silva gets going, he'll be able to do the job and win. And I'm interested to see where he goes from there after he does beat Dez, who the next fight is. Obviously, he's got a limited window here now if he wants to get back into the title picture, which I'm sure he will be at one point if he wins 1 or 2 fights. But that's another fight that the UFC is banking on to be good. Jones DC was one of the most hyped fights in a long time. Arguably one of the top 3 or 5 most hyped fights in the promotion's history. It was a good fight. Obviously, it didn't live up to all the extreme amount of hype that it had behind it. So hopefully these next few weeks, Silva Diaz, and then we have Rousey fighting again here pretty soon, and the other title fight on that card that's not coming to me right now. But hopefully the good fights live up to the billing.
How far do we got to get into this Rousey thing before it becomes boring? Before it's like, okay, we've seen it a dozen times. She's on what? She had 3, 4 fights now. There's one big fight out there that probably won't happen. But how many fights we got left here?
For me, I probably have more than the average person, but I would say for the average person that's still very much into watching the UFC and a big fan or whatever, I'd say probably this one and maybe one more, and then the interest is really going to start falling off. And in some respects, her interest has already started falling off. As far as people, I can't miss Rousey. Well, you find another fight on the card that she's fighting, and oh yeah, by the way, Rousey's fighting, so we'll be able to see her too, whatever. But it's not. You're onto something that it's not very much. Probably within this year, that the cachet and the intrigue, or whatever. It's like, oh, here comes this other chick coming in. She's gonna get her ass kicked. Woohoo! We've seen this before. What's next? What she's gonna do? It kind of sucks for her because she is obviously the dominant female in the world right now, and hopefully the divisions and the talent pool keeps on getting deeper. But at this point, I don't see that the domination ending anytime soon.
Dana White, I guess, said a couple days ago, if Anderson Silva wins, he'll get the next shot at Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman at the end of February fights next. He should beat Vitor Belfort if Belfort even makes it to that fight. That would seem to me to be your main event, July 11th, UFC 189. Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman would be your main event right there. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right. It would make a lot of sense, obviously, with the history of the last year and a half here with those two, and the back and forth and Silva breaking his leg and whatnot. That'd be interesting, and that would be the ultimate chance for Weidman to put all the talk to bed that he truly is, as good as he's Silva didn't take that first fight seriously. He was dicking around. Weidman caught him.
Well, I would say before that, Weidman was winning the fight before he started cocking off.
I can definitely agree with that. And it's just it just looks so bad though, because in that round where Silva did get knocked out, he was moving around like a dummy, and he got caught, and down he goes. And then, all the Silva backers, he didn't take it seriously enough. He'll come back in that second fight, kick his ass and make a point that he is the best of all time. Well, sure as shit, he gets in there, snaps his leg. Well, Weidman.
Even in that fight, he was losing before that.
Yeah. And in that situation too, Weidman did exactly what he was trained to do: turn the knee. And you're not trying to break the guy's leg, but you're trying to turn the knee so it doesn't have that much impact on your leg. He did textbook, and it so happens that Silva's leg snapped. Well, all the Silva people are like, well, that's kind of bullshit too. It's just a freak accident. So there would be a lot of talk and a lot of hype. Obviously, it's a Silva fight, but the third time, him getting in there and finally trying to beat Weidman and get the belt back, that would be perfect for the July 11 card.
Couple more fights that I'm interested in. This Yoel Romero, I'm a big goddamn fan of this guy. He's got Jacare Souza coming up next month. Whoever wins that fight, are they the next in line for a title shot after July?
Yeah, I would say so. That fight's been on my radar, but I really haven't thought about that much. That's interesting because Romero, he's been impressive, but it's always that reservation with me until I see him beat, a quote-unquote, established, rather large name. He's beat a few guys that have been impressive, and I have liked what I saw of him so far, but I'm not quite sure that he's title ready anyways.
Dan Henderson fighting 2 weeks. Is this his last fight? Should it be his last fight?
Should it be? Yes. The other part of that question will be probably not, because he's too fucking stubborn for his own good. Dan Henderson, I've been watching him fight for a long goddamn time now. A couple of different organizations, a couple of different whatever. I've been a huge fan. These last couple of fights, these last 2-3 years in particular, it's time. It's past time. He's 44 years old or whatever he is. He needs to hang it up. He's not hurting for money. I know that for a fact. He's just going out there and he's not making a fool of himself, because we all know he has that overhand right. He's got one punch knockout power. He can still land it and knock out anybody in the world, but it's just a matter that he's not fast enough, and he can't get it off like he did 5-10 years ago. But long story longer here. I hope it is. I don't think it will be his last fight.
Anthony Johnson Gustafsson, I would assume winner would get Cormier to be your next interim title holder. I would assume John Jones is on the shelf for a long time here.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I would say this. I think John probably fights in December. I think he fights at the end of this year. So you look at Rumble against Gustafsson there.
Do they do an interim title or not?
That's what I don't think they do, because before Jones got popped here, obviously the cocaine, he's going into rehab and it didn't look good. Whatever. For my money, if Gustafsson would have beat Rumble, that would have been enough. It wouldn't have been DC wouldn't have been there. I think Gustafsson would have got another shot at Bones right away. We had Jones Gustafsson take 2, but now, if Gustafsson wins, he's gonna have to go. He's probably gonna have to beat DC sometime in when's that Rumble fight? Is that?
That's in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay, 2 weeks. So you figure that out, 2 weeks, and then maybe if Gustafsson wins, you have him fight DC sometime.
That would be a good semi-main event there in July.
Right. Yeah, that would be a perfect one for the July card right there. And then you give John a while to decide and kind of figure out when or if he's coming back this year. If he's not, then at that point, I don't know. It's so tricky though, because if he doesn't come back this year, that Gustafsson DC fight would almost have to be an interim title fight. So maybe I'm wrong. That decision has to come a lot quicker as far as when and if Jones will be able to fight this year. The UFC might just have to go out on a limb and say, hey, no, you're going to be out until at least 2016. So that way we can make some sense with the rest of the title picture that we have to have this interim belt here or whatever. But it's definitely intriguing to see how it plays out. I think the way I want to see it play out and the way I hope it plays out is that Gustafsson wins, they hang out for a while, and Jones gets ready in the Jones-Gustafsson fight at the end of the year.
Then one of my favorite guys, Donald Cerrone, coming back, 2 weeks? Didn't suffer much damage, but he's got Benson Henderson. Is that smart to take this fight against this guy 2 weeks, on 2 weeks' notice?
Another two-part answer from yours truly again here. No, probably not smart, but once again, when's the last time that Donald Cerrone did anything smart in a sense, you know what I mean? That's kind of his personality, to be wild, go crazy, do dangerous shit, and fight like a madman, which is a big reason why a lot of people love him. The history between him and Benson is interesting. They fought twice before. Benson's got him by split decision, I think, both times, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there. I know for a fact one of them was a split decision, but it's interesting because we all know that fighters want their training camps, they want their time off, this, that, whatever. But for Cerrone to take that high level of fight on that short of notice, I'll be interested to see what he looks like. And to be honest with you, I kind of like Cerrone in that fight, just the way the role that he's been on. Benson's he's looked pretty hit or miss in my opinion the last few times out. If Cerrone is 100%, which he might not be, obviously with a little bit of rest, I think he might get the job done at Cowboys. Make his claim that he's gonna win 5 or 6 times this year after winning, I think, 4 times last year.
And something next week that's stacking, I'm sure he'll be watching on Fox Sports 1. You got Dennis Seaver and Conor McGregor.
I heard about this guy.
Did you? On the running.
He's an up and coming riser there in the world of UFC. Ranked number 5th in the world.
Number 5th, I like it.
There you go.
Number 5. I'm sorry. Yeah. Excuse my poor English ability here. Having said that, I'm done. I'm not interested.
You're not interested. What would get you interested?
It's like wrestling. The UFC.
How is it like wrestling?
No. Listen, I'm not comparing the two sports. I'm saying, like the WWE, I am not all that interested really at all in UFC. Others can be. That's fine. It just is not a sport that interests me.
I like to see a couple guys punch each other, beat the shit out of each other. That's good fun.
Go to a hockey game.
No, I don't got it. 20-minute intermissions. Figure it out. I don't want to sit there for 20 minutes.
17, actually.
17? 17.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did this change, or was I just not made aware?
It might have changed a few years ago, but it's 17.
They're giving McGregor good opponents, not great opponents. They're building this guy up. This is a big deal here. Are we all in on him here? Are we all in on this guy?
Yup.
Good.
I want to be so bad. Trust me, I do want to be. I love the trash talk. I love his style. I love just everything about him. But he's fought several pretty good guys. He's knocked several of them out. The famous quote is, he doesn't knock him out. He doesn't just knock him out. He picks around, this and that. I love that kind of talk. I love that kind of brashness. He's going to beat Seaver. I don't think that's in any doubt. But it's kind of already been pretty well quasi-guaranteed. And Dana said this post-fight press conference at Jones, D.C., that Conor's basically guaranteed a title shot if he beats Seaver,
yes.
which I don't think is the right move to make, honestly.
You look at featherweight. You got Frankie Edgar there. You got Chad Mendez. A lot of guys that have had lots of shots at the title, and it's been a while since they've won. So I'd say that's a case where those guys are kind of stuck in limbo of, we're number 2, we're ranked number 3, we've had our chances, so somebody 4 or 5 is going to jump us just because there's somebody new and there's somebody that has not been given the chance yet.
Yeah, that does make sense, and I kind of do agree with that logic. I still, it doesn't mean it feels right to me anyways. I'm not disagreeing that it does make sense. Like you said, Edgar, a couple other guys have had their shots and they haven't done it. So really, that 2 through 5, you flip a coin any given day. Any one of those guys can beat one of the other outside of Conor, so they haven't fought him yet, obviously. I'm not. I would love to see him in a title fight. If he wins it, I'd be even more, excited, or whatever. And I want to see just this all could change if he goes out and knocks out Seaver again in a minute and a half. Seaver's a guy that doesn't do a bunch for me, but he's a veteran. He's battle tested. He knows what he's doing out there. If Conor could go out there and make a mockery of him like he has a couple of guys recently, maybe that'll change my whole opinion or outlook on the thing. That division as a whole, though, is a mess, and I'm sure the UFC and I'm sure Dane and the boys are hoping like hell Conor's the real deal and just takes that division and runs with it.
Yes, they could use a new star. So, and that'll do it. A long edition, a 2-hour plus edition. Mr. Stacken, what do we have?
Four quick things here. The giant hands make an appearance on the show.
It's like a turkey.
Things can palm long clocks, Anyway, just a side note on our NFL head coaching talk from about an hour and a half ago. One thing to remember, Jason Garrett is a free agent, so he could be in play if the Cowboys don't re-sign him. And also DeMarco Murray, Dez Bryant, free agents too, so just throwing that out there.
How about this?
Yeah.
John Fox, does he come back?
He could be gone too. Yep, he's that definitely went south in for Denver. So,
but I don't think Fox is back. I was meaning to get to that, and there was obviously today there was reports game day whatever is take those as you will, but I don't think that he's there regardless if Peyton's back or not.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the thing. Okay, maybe I only have a couple more then. Two, congrats to the no, not congrats, but the North Dakota State Bison.
Good game. It was a good game, I guess.
It was. I have a lot of I don't like what Illinois State did at the end of the game, so I will in scoring that game the go-ahead touchdown at that point. So I'll discuss that on the Sports Block on Tuesday night.
You don't like that they score? What don't you like about it? Give me a hint.
I think the smart thing would have been to go down at the 1 and North Dakota State to use their timeouts. And you know what? You go down at the 1, you take a knee, 2 straight knees, force North Dakota State to use all their timeouts if they really want the clock to go. Third down, you try and score a touchdown. If not, kick the field goal.
Hey, what was
take
it?
them from the point lead.
What was the score? 21?
29-27.
No, before that. Before they scored, it was
23-21.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Yep. Unconventional on my part, and if it would have blown up in their face, then everyone would have been ticked about it. But I say that. And then 3, watch out for the South Dakota State men's basketball team. I think this George Marshall is really coming around, and while they've lost their first 2 games, they've looked very impressive the last 2. Win at home against Western Illinois. New coach, but I like this guy a lot. And then against Omaha Saturday, they kicked the crap out of Omaha, which is a pretty decent team. So I'm saying South Dakota State on the rise in the Summit.
What's up with Denver?
A good question. You lose at home to USD and then score 49 points against IUPUI. Don't get it.
What happened to my Pios? Something's wrong with my Pios.
USD's doing good. Oral Roberts doing fine. I think USD will definitely come back to earth, but that's a big game this Saturday at Frost, South Dakota State against USD. So be on the lookout for that. That's really all I had. Just a few tidbits there. But again, we'll discuss more of that North Dakota State, Illinois State, kind of how I think they should have done, what I would have asked them to do. I knew when Illinois State scored that North Dakota State was going to come back and win the game. You just knew it. It had the same script as the game against the Jackrabbits up in Fargo in the playoffs. So we'll discuss that more Tuesday night.
Marcus seems to think that the quarterback probably could have stayed at Indiana and probably could have done well at Indiana.
Could have. And then are we doing the show next Sunday at noon?
Yeah, what do you want to do? A late show here after the game here? Probably going to get done, 8:30, 9 o'clock? Does that work for anybody?
Let's do an early show.
Do a who?
The early show. Preview it.
You want to do an early show?
I don't know. That's just my thought, my suggestion.
Yeah, that probably actually makes sense when I think about it. I'm in favor of a 12 or 12:30 or whatever.
And then once football season is done here in a couple weeks, we'll probably return to our afternoon slot, probably. So that's your 100th Sports Lounge.
I'm
Yes.
excited to talk NBA basketball here because the East has 2 teams under 500, and Milwaukee sucks for cutting Nate Wolters, who still has yet to sign with the team. What the hell?
Atlanta, unbelievable. Again, unbelievable.
Yeah. The NBA Finals that no one will watch, Atlanta, Memphis.
Yeah, they're not making it. They're not. If my Bulls don't make it, I'll be very disappointed. They've turned things around here. Also, my Bobcats. I think they're making the playoffs. So
The Bobcats. They don't even play basketball anymore.
We're taking our calls here with the NBA. Give me the Pistons to make the playoffs.
wow,
Yep,
what do we got here?
I like that. Them or Charlotte. They're going to overtake Brooklyn or Miami.
We're both.
Or both. Or both.
And I'm still waiting for Oklahoma City here. How about you? How about you get in the playoffs? We're about halfway done. And what kind of odds could I have gotten to have Cleveland at 500 halfway through the year? Probably pretty good.
Pretty good. You could have made quite a bit of money if you would have bet on them too.
I'm still waiting for New Orleans to take off too. If people say they are the team that they're supposed to be, they need to be a little more consistent, put up some more points.
Consistent and Tyreek Evans do not go hand in hand.
And with
then
that,
maybe that's what you have to cut your ties with then.
there you go. A long-ass edition, but plenty of stuff we didn't even get to. David Schottenkirk's interaction with Dick Vitale. He likes the applesauce.
Sure does.
Who doesn't? I also got the Moeller report we did not get into. And a bunch of points in a D-League game between Rio Grande Valley, and Reno. I'm up for I think February 24th on a Tuesday night. If Traxer's in, I'm in. If Stacken wants to join us, he can get on his horse and come on down. Reno at the Sioux Falls Sky Forest. Reno averages 140 points a game, so I am all in on that. So there you go, gentlemen. We appreciate the time, and 101 next week, Stacken. 101.
I don't have a number for that. I don't know what player wears 101.
Nobody, because they don't go triple digits.
Hey, how about this? It's the introductory sports lounge class at South Dakota State University.
Very good. Sports Lounge 101 next week. It's inside. It's inside the goddamn thing.